I know that you've been getting this too, but people have been asking me, they've been asking you, they've been asking some of our coaches, like, when is this going to end? When is this whole thing going to end? And I think if anybody's telling you they know when this whole thing is going to end, you should run the other way, because nobody knows. Nobody knows when we're going back to practice. Nobody knows what it's going to look like when we go back to practice. I think it's pretty safe to say it's not going to be like an on-off switch. All of a sudden, on one day, everybody's back with full schedules. But nobody really knows the timing. And because of that, we feel like the best thing that we can do to help all of our dentists and team members out there is to keep presenting information that's not only going to help you now, but will be useful when you get back in the swing of things. And we're really happy to say that's what we've got for you today. Dave, what do you say when people ask you questions like, when is this going to end?
Well, you know, here's the, Rich, it's a great question. I'm totally honest, just like you were. We don't know. We just don't know. And here's the deal. There are a lot of people out there, Rich, so, you know, there are a million webinars. These, all of a sudden, all these dental people, there's like webinars every day. And I was on one a couple of days ago, and the information was basically something like, hey, look, we're all in this together. You can do it. Just stay calm, relax. You're going to be fine. And, you know, although that's good for a little while,
I'm taking a deep breath as you say it.
I mean, so Rich, what you and I have decided to do, we've decided to bring like the best people available, best people out there, and get real information. That's what one of the things we're going to be doing today. You're going to be amazed. And we've got record-setting numbers today. It's just incredible. So before we introduce our speaker, I just want, Rich, I want to say one thing. A lot of people out there, maybe two, we'll see. A lot of people out there are definitely scared, because you are asking the question, even if it's to yourself, what's going to happen? How long is this going to go? Am I going to have an income? And again, we don't know, but I will share this with you. Rich and I we're two dentists. In case you're brand new to us, by the way, welcome. It's great to meet you. And hello to everybody that's been with us for 30 years or somewhere in between. But if you're out there and if you feel alone and you have questions and you're just not sure and you need somebody to speak to, we are here for you. Our coaches, two of our coaches, I can think of, Betty and Kara, I know for sure would love to get on. If you got a question, if you got if you want somebody to kind of walk you through something during these tough times, the best way to do this, and I'm going to give a real big shout out to Sylvia, because Sylvia is she's behind the scenes usually, but she organizes and produces all this stuff. We couldn't do this without Sylvia. Actually, I think we should give her a big round of applause here for a couple seconds. But contact Sylvia at sylvia@madow.com, simply sylvia@madow.com, or phone number 410-526-4780. She's kind of at the control panel. She will make sure you get to speak to somebody. No charge. We're not here to talk about paying us money. Now's not a good time to do that. But if you're truly alone, feel you have questions, we're here for you. We're here to help you.
Fantastic. Or if you can't remember sylvia@madow.com, good old info always works, right? That's the one that I can remember. Info, I-N-F-O, @madow.com. So once again, thanks everybody for checking in. Maybe you missed it when we said this, but please, when you use the chat, use that little drop down and direct it to all panelists and attendees, unless there's something you just want to share with the panelists. But all panelists and attendees, that way everybody will see it. So like somebody, cool person from Montreal, Canada, where I think Mitchell went to dental school, just did it to the panelists. So do it to all panelists and attendees. So again, we're really excited about our guests today. Before we bring them on, those of you who have been to our seminars and webinars know that very frequently we like to start with one little tip.
Hey, Rich, before you get into it, let me just say one thing real quick, then I'll turn it over to you to give that incredible tip, because I know what it is. I know what it is, and you don't want to miss this tip. But sometimes people ask, am I going to be able to see this again? There was a lot of information. It was going quickly. We recommend you take notes, have a pencil and paper in front of you. But just in case, this is going to be rebroadcast on Facebook, on our Madow Center page on Facebook. And Rich has his pen or pencil and legal pad or whatever that might be. Facebook at the Madow Center page, and also on our YouTube channel, which is the Dental Practice Fixers. So again, if you're not sure something, if you want to go back and recheck it, this will be rebroadcast. And also, one more thing before I turn it back over to my brother Rich. Here's the thing: we're not like crowding you out with too many of these webinars. However, I want to tell you, I want to tease something. I'm not going to tell you what it's going to be about, but we've got one coming up that's absolutely incredible. Mark your calendar for Thursday, May 7th. It's exactly 2 weeks from today. Can't share with you exactly what it's about yet, but I'm telling you one thing. It's one that you will not want to miss. I promise you. Thursday, May 7th, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're in another part of the country, take it from there.
It will be fabulous. I'm so glad you mentioned that. And I think now that Dr. Nick is in the house, we can get started. So if you want to pop up that first slide, those of you who come to our seminars and webinars know that we like to start with one tip that's going to help you in some way, either save money, make money. Just we talk about Fat Merchant a lot, our credit card processing partner, because they've saved so many dental practices thousands, tens of thousands of dollars over the years. But a few people have told us, hey, cash flow is not great right now. Can you think of anything that'll just bring in some cash instantly? And I think something that a lot of dentists and team members too are neglecting is that our precious metals, our gold, our silver, our platinum, our palladium, can really be worth a lot of money. And we'll show you in a second exactly how much it can be worth. We've got this stuff lying around our office. Sometimes there's a tooth with a root on the other end of it, which is kind of weird to keep that lying around. But we've got precious dental metals lying around our office. And if you know the right people to go to, they can be worth a lot of money. So don't throw away your crowns, your bridges, your PFMs, partial dentures. They contain cash that can go directly to you. So Sylvia, if you can put the next slide up. When I said you've got to know the right person to come to, we'll warn you about $2 a gram Stan, or people like $2 a gram Stan. This is the guy or gal that knocks on your office door. They've got a little scale and they say, hey, forget everybody else. I'm going to give you cash on the spot for your dental gold and platinum, palladium, and your precious metals. And they weigh the stuff and then they start peeling off some cash. You think, well, that's great. But if you think about it for a second, how do they even know what you're getting? You could be giving them a piece of a gold-plated crown for all they know. And the thing is, they don't know what they're getting. And the reason they can get away with it is they lowball you so badly that no matter what you're giving them, no matter what kind of worthless junk you're giving them, they're still going to come out ahead. The person that comes out behind is you, because they don't give you nearly as much as they should. So don't get ripped off by that person. Knock on your office door with a scale. Or you can go to one of the big refining companies. You've seen them in all the seminars, all the big meetings. They have those 5-page spreads in Dental Economics Journal, and they're much more ethical than $2 a gram Stan. The problem is those 10,000 square foot booths and 4-page ad spreads cost a lot of money. And of course, that means they have higher overhead. So if you want to deal with a company like that, they're legit, but you're not going to get paid that much for your precious metals. So if you can go to the next slide. So Dave and I were at a meeting, speaking at a meeting not that long ago, and we were really fortunate to meet the owner of Southern Dental Refining. And when we say we were fortunate to meet the owner, it's a really small kind of mom and pop operation. He's the man. He doesn't have a lot of overhead. He doesn't have big booths at the Chicago midwinter. So because of that, his operation is much less costly. And instead of keeping all the extra profits for himself, he passes the savings along to the dentist. He pays more for gold. You can check him out by going to madow.com/gold. There'll be a little info form for you to fill out. He'll send you back a mailing label. You can just stick it on a lab box and send him gold, and he guarantees your satisfaction, and we know that he pays the highest. But so go to the next slide for a second. Right before we went live today, we asked him for some examples of how much he pays. So he said, I do direct comparisons to other companies. And as you can see on there, one company paid a dentist a little over $6,000 for their gold. They took it back, they sent it to Southern Dental and got $10,000. Same thing, this person got $1,400 from a legitimate company. They thought that was way too little. They asked for it back. Southern Dental paid them $7,000. These are actual figures from actual cases. You can see another example, $2,000 or $5,000. So we have confidence that you will get the most for your scrap when you use Southern Dental Refining. So please just go to madow.com/gold. I just got a message from the owner that that's not the correct phone number. I don't know where we got that phone number.
Oh, no, no.
Get that phone number. We'll get to the right one, but much easier to go to. That's funny when you're speaking, you get a message. It's kind of like when the newsman's talking, they get, they hit, this just handed to me. You have spinach in your teeth, one of those things. So unfortunately, I don't think I have spinach in my teeth, but check out Southern Dental, madow.com/gold. We know that you will be super happy. And we'll get you the right phone number further along, but don't even worry about it. Go to the website. All right, good stuff. That said, I think we are ready to get rocking. Dave, I don't know if you want to introduce our guests since you didn't say anything. I'll be glad to do it, but I'll hand it to you if you'd like.
Sure, I'd be very happy to. Well, Rich, you and I both have known our guest for, I'd say at least probably a couple decades. He has an incredible practice down in Palm Beach, Florida. It's a very, let's say, high-end cosmetic and reconstructive practice. However, some of the things he's going to teach you today, you can have a bread and butter practice. It does not matter what kind of practice you had, but Rich and I have been very impressed with Mitchell's practice. Not only does he have a great practice, but he is perhaps one of the best marketers and thinkers that we've ever seen in dentistry. Mitchell actually did a lot of speaking for us. Mitchell was probably about 10 years ago or so, something like that. He was actually on the lecture circuit. He would come and he'd speak for an entire day to audiences, giving them from start to finish his ideas on how to grow a practice. And at the end, people did not want to leave. They kept asking him more questions. They wanted more and more and more. So today, Mitchell is actually going to share with you a lot of things that he's doing right now, not only to build his practice, but right now during this coronavirus crisis, to prepare for when things are back to normal, whatever our normal is going to be. There's going to be a new normal, whatever it is. He's going to be ready to go, and his practice, there's no question, it's going to be increasing and increasing. He's going to share these things that he's doing right now with all of you. So without further ado, let's have a really big, tremendous round of applause for Dr. Mitchell Joseph.
Go, go, go.
And I only hear 2 people clapping. Is that normal? I thought I'm supposed to hear all 1,400 people clapping. So
don't worry, we're used to it.
Well, yeah, right. Thanks for having me, and hello to my brothers and sisters of dentistry, both in the United States and my dear friends in Canada, from where I went to dental school from '84 to '88 at McGill University in Montreal. Look, with me, I'm staying positive about this whole thing. I'm trying not to watch the news. I'll try to watch just the press conferences at the end of the day, and that's about it. I've had enough about the virus, and I'm just thinking about the future. And one of the positive things in this whole experience is, I don't know if anybody like myself has a millennial adult child living at home now all of a sudden. I call it MACAH, M-A-C-A-H, millennial adult child at home. Do you have a MACAH? I got a MACAH at home. My son, who's 26 years old, he's a 4th-year dental student at Tufts University in Boston. And over a month ago, they kicked out all the students and they sent them home. So when you have a millennial child that all of a sudden is living in your house, there's a lot of advantages to this. And this is one of the positive things of the COVID-19 virus. He's our cook. He's a driver. He's my personal trainer. He's our personal shopper. He's been our handyman. He's our IT guy. He's our gardener, and he's our house cleaner. So unfortunately, we only have 1 kid. If I had 3 kids, oh my God, I'd have my house painted. I would have the floors retiled. So just looking at one of the positives of this stay-at-home order. So the things that I've been concentrating on the most is, you may not like this quote, but let me explain it. Rahm Emanuel, whether you like him or not, was quoted as saying during the financial crisis of 2008, he said, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." Now, you could have a cynical opinion about what that expression means. Now, in politics, never let a good crisis go to waste. What they're implying is this is a time that the current politician can shine as far as leadership. You agree with me, guys, that intentionally that's the original reason for making that statement. The way I look at that statement, never let a good crisis go to waste, is find some positive ways that you can be a leader in your field, educating others or educating patients. And these are things that are not only going to be saved and used during crises, but this is stuff that I use every day in my practice, and you will too. So the goal for me during all of this was, I knew from speaking to people in the business, in the TV news business, they told me that more people are watching local TV news than in the history of television. They're not just watching CNN, Fox, CNBC. People are watching local news in numbers never seen before. And I'll give you an example. I'm going to show you how to get on your local news to be a perceived expert on dentistry, and also making comments on the virus, etc. The last TV segment that I was on, the audience was 88,000 people. You will never see ratings like that during when things settle down, we're back to normal again. For a local news, and I'm not in Midtown Manhattan. I'm in Palm Beach, Florida, and the listening area here, this is not like one of the most densely populated areas in the country. So to have a viewership of a 2 to 5 minute news segment on your local news with 88,000, and this wasn't 88,000 households. I looked into this. This was 88,000 people that were actually tuned in at that time during my news segments. And I've had 4 news segments in the last 6 weeks talking about the virus, talking about dentistry, how to take care of dental emergencies at home, what's considered a dental emergency. But those 4 segments on the local news then got picked up by other news stations. So Gainesville picked me up, Tampa Bay area, Florida, they ran the segments on their local news stations as well. And when you continue doing this thing, the ultimate prize would be appearing on some national news. So I'll have to stay tuned and let you know if that happens. Okay, so how do we get on the local news? How do we keep our name relevant as the go-to dental practice in your area? Well, you start with a press release. A press release is basically you're contacting the local news stations, whether it's email or fax or you're calling, and you call the local news station, you want the email address of the news desk. That's the person that answers the phone. And guess how they answer the phone? Hello, news desk. And you're going to tell them, this is what I want. This is my pitch. Well, you're not going to say, here's my pitch. You're going to have someone from your office, preferably not you, preferably an office manager or even a spouse, or if you have a macaw at home, a millennial adult child at home, have someone go ahead and call the news desk at the local news, ask for the email address of that news desk, and take this press release and send it to the news. And the press release that I use that has worked for all these news segments, there's another one. I'm going to talk about 2 press releases I did, but this is one that I did regarding how to take care of dental emergencies at home. Now, we in Florida, and I'm sure many of you, are under orders. In us, it's our state. On March 20th, our governor, Ron DeSantis, issued an executive order that says that dentists are only allowed to treat dental emergencies. Now, you American dentists out there, if you think that's bad, my sympathy goes out to my Canadian brethren, because not only do they have the stay at home and the prohibition of doing elective dentistry, they have something in Canada called the Royal Order of Dentistry. And they issued a prohibition that not only are dentists only allowed to see emergencies in Canada, but they're not allowed to do anything that's going to involve a water or air spray. So if a dental emergency is someone coming in that needs a pulpectomy, a tooth extraction with a surgical burr, a fistula that's being drained, how could you perform that dental emergency? You're going to for sure create a water spray, use air spray, aerosol, etc. So we're all kind of in the same boat. So this press release is for me, it's me telling the local news that I am your expert to go to talk about how to handle dental emergencies at home. And I talk about things like re-cementing temporaries with Fix-A-Dent, removing a foreign body stuck between the gum, how to deal with a lost filling, a chipped tooth, leaving a jagged edge, a suspicious mouth ulcer, or other lesions. And I've had press releases sent to the local news, and I want you to do this too, where you can offer complimentary teledentistry consultations. So I explain, when interviewed on the news, the tools you can use to take pictures of the inside of your mouth and email them to your dentist. Now I talk about how, yes, you can use an iPhone, which I've seen plenty of patients, I'm sure you have too, where they take an iPhone and they stick it halfway down their throat and you're like looking at their tonsils and they're trying to give you an image of a tooth in their mouth. They have a question. But there's some other little tricks too. This is kind of interesting, but at hardware stores and at auto parts stores, you can buy what's called an endoscope, which is basically a handheld intraoral camera. And you could wipe it down and cold sterilize Cavill wipes and actually use this fiber optic camera to freeze an image, and that could be emailed to your dentist. So I talk about all these bullet points of how teledentistry can work for those, because everyone has a dentist who has an office that's closed or just seeing emergencies. The other press release, and I'm going to go through both of them and I'll show you the video clips of what we landed by contacting the local media. The other press release was related to pro bono work that I do on Holocaust survivors that are living below the poverty level. Now, the beauty of the Holocaust, and if you're doing any pro bono work, is this was a nice respite, a nice relief, an alternative programming that initially, when the virus just broke, the local news were looking for feel-good stories that they could run just to take a break from reporting on the COVID virus. So what I'd like to do now is run the first video where we submitted information about how we're treating Holocaust survivors living below the poverty level. So we're going to run this video of the resulting local news story that was run as a result of this.
While we're waiting for that, I just want to say, because Mitchell, a few people asked, you can get copies of the exact press releases that Dr. Josephs used if you go to madow.com/press. So it's MADOW, and I put it in the chat box too, madow.com/PRESS. Dr. Josephs has generously said that anybody can use his press releases.
Yeah, so
if you need a break from coronavirus stories, we have some uplifting news for you right now. A Palm Beach County dentist is helping survivors of the Holocaust smile.
WPTV News Channel 5 Sabira Rayford showing you how his effort is having a lasting impact.
For Dr. Mitchell Josephs, his business revolves around helping people achieve their perfect smile.
A lot of cosmetic reconstructions with porcelain veneers. I do a lot of surgery, extractions, bone grafts, and placing dental implants.
He sees people of all ages and backgrounds at his practice on Palm Beach, but recently he shifted his focus to one community in particular.
And I've met so many very successful Holocaust survivors living in this country. I didn't know that there's thousands of them in this country that are living below poverty level.
Survivors like 87-year-old Boris Glazer.
I can't go to restaurant out of eat. I can't, talk to people because empty mouth, I'm embarrassed,
With the help of Jewish Family Services, Dr. Josephs was able to come up with a plan for Boris and dozens of other survivors in need to restore their smiles for free.
So happy. You can't believe how it changed my life. I can eat now everything. I can smile. I can talk to people nice,
I want to get other dentists to say, hey, I want to take on these patients too. call up Morse Life, call up JFS of Palm Beach County, and start treating these patients.
Reporting in Palm Beach County, Sabir Rayford, WPTV News Channel 5.
I think we.
Now, thank you, Sylvia and guys, for the audio visual. Are we back? Yeah. Okay. So, couple of points. I might have talked over the very beginning of that segment. The key thing about that segment is that the two news people, which were the two anchor people, these were not the reporters in the field. The two anchor people, the first thing they said is, well, if you're tired of hearing the bad news about the coronavirus, here's an uplifting story. So I'm sure many of you do pro bono work all the time on those that are in need. And that's always a great thing to be involved with. And the local news is always looking for stories like this. Now, what happened with the pandemic is as the news was starting to increase about how serious it was, once there was a stay-at-home lockdown issued, then that's all the news wanted to report about. They didn't care about any feel-good stories. They didn't care about how to make cookies for being at stay-at-home yet, okay, because they were right in the thick of things. But it's like a bell curve. As the news started to improve about the virus, where the curve started leveling, or in some cases the curve starting to come down, now I notice the local media is back interested in feel-good stories. So we're starting to see stories on the local and national news about what you should do when you're locked in your house. It's time to clean your basement. It's time to paint your rooms. So any feel-good stories that you have, maybe you want to talk about, just having this conversation with you guys today. I just thought of something. Look, if you're a doctor's office like mine that has chosen not to furlough any of your employees and you're sticking it out, maybe that's a nice thing you could talk about. What a beautiful interview it would be to have you and your staff being interviewed by the local news, and you're talking about how you're keeping the office together, you're still paying everyone during this time period, you're having your staff do some things in the office, help you with the teledentistry angle that you're going with. So feel good stories, they're hot right now. It's back to that now, and that's going to increase. Okay, so let's go now to the video that we got as a result of sending the press release on how to take care of dental emergencies at home, because most likely your dentist has an office that's either closed or is limited to emergency treatment only.
Normal or all still getting accustomed to, when does sudden dental pain become a real emergency? I'm talking about a chipped tooth, lost filling, just general mouth pain. Dr. Mitchell Josephs says a few things you can do at home will help you decide whether to head to the emergency room. And your cell phone is crucial in helping your dentist diagnose the problem.
Whether it's a suspicious issue on the soft tissues, a white ulcer, a speckled red and white ulcer on the tongue or inside the cheek, or perhaps you've broken a crown, get an image of this and do a teledentistry consultation.
Dr. Josephs himself is offering free teledental consults from his Palm Beach office to anybody who may be having an emergency. We'll be right back. Tomorrow.
Now, that was one of the shorter segments that we got related to treating dental emergencies at home. But that shorter one actually was rebroadcasted, I would say, how many miles away is the west coast of Florida? So let's say it's a 3-hour drive to cross the state from where I am down in Palm Beach. So the west coast of Florida, the Gulf Coast, it was aired in Tampa, and then in the middle of the state where University of Florida is in Gainesville. Now, there was a similar program, similar news station in our local area. That was I believe the ABC affiliate.
We did the CBS affiliate and also the NBC affiliate. One of the local news stations, after sending in that press release about treating dental emergencies at home, they did a segment that was over 5 minutes long. And a patient of mine that saw the segment told me that she was in the PR industry for 35 years. And she said that I clearly, hands down, broke the record for the longest segment that a local doctor was ever interviewed on local news. And I said, come on, are you serious? And she said, yeah, your segment, not the one you just saw, but the one before that we didn't show today, it went for 5 minutes and 12 seconds. And she told me Osama bin Laden did not get 5 minutes and 12 seconds on the local news back in the day. So you can see the power of the media. And again, there's so much local news that's being watched, record breaking. You know, I've been in practice for 32 years and I've been through a lot of bad times in dentistry. I remember when I first graduated, I didn't know any better, but apparently from 1988 to 1992, there was a recession. I didn't know about it. I think it might coincide with what they call the tech bubble bursting. But you know, when you're making zero money and you start getting a check, being a dentist, working for a dentist straight out of your residency or school program, every dollar you're making, you're like, oh my God, I'm making money. So I had no clue then that there was a recession then. Okay, so that was 88 to 92. Then we also had the tragedy of 9/11. 9/11 was terrible for my practice because at that time, South Florida was very seasonal, where dental practices from Memorial Day, I would say, to about October, beginning of October, dental practice back then, 28 years ago, or 9/11 is 19 years ago, dental practices back then, 20 years ago and before, were very seasonal. So what happened after 9/11 is all my patients from Chicago to Maine to New York, they didn't go down. They didn't come back down to Florida right after 9/11. So that was devastating for the practice. The third tragedy that we've been through as far as dental practice, the financial collapse of the financial collapse of 2008. Another very difficult time in a lot of dental practices. And then, of course, now. Okay, so all the previous tragedies that led to a decline in dental offices taking in revenue, we really came out very well and survived these extremely well. And a lot of it has to do with getting in touch with the media, marketing. I used to have a radio show for 15 years called Tooth Talk, where I would buy airtime on the local radio station. This is before satellite radio. And for 15 years, I would take live callers' questions over the airwaves every Friday at 10 o'clock. So I started with that radio show 15 years ago. And what all these things do, the radio show. And then after the radio show, I started writing an Ask the Dentist column in the local newspaper, in the Palm Beach Post Accent section, in the Palm Beach Daily newspaper. That's been going on since 2004. All these things allow the public to meet you, to get to know you. So when they do come to your office, you don't have to sell yourself. They already feel that they know you. They already feel comfortable with you. That's why I feel whenever we get new patients to the office, and it's not high volume, our patients come to do relatively extensive dentistry. So it's not the numbers, it's the fewer numbers, but they have the amount of trust in us to trust us to do a lot of dental work on them. And the beauty of exposing yourself with these marketing techniques is they're not strangers when they come in. You don't have to do a dog and pony show and worry about what you say and how you say it, and do the best treatment plan presentation skills that you might have taken an 8-hour seminar on someplace, because they're getting to know you before they come in. I remember when I was doing my radio show, Tooth Talk, for 15 years, I was in a store buying a pair of shoes. Before I took out my credit card, I just said to the cashier guy, excuse me, can I have a pair of socks too? And I pointed to a pair of socks, and he put them on top of the shoebox. And he said to me, are you a dentist? And I said, yeah. And he said, you're Dr. Josephs, right? I said, yeah. He said, I knew it was you because I recognized your voice. Now, this is pre-internet, pre-web, pre-Facebook days. So this guy, just from hearing the radio show and me saying, can I have a pair of socks too? That was enough that he was able to know who I was just because he heard my voice. And totally a true story. I remember it was a Saks Fifth Avenue store in the Gardens Mall, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Oh my God, got to be over 20 years ago. Okay, so the other things that you could do with these press releases, not only the attempt to get on the local news to get coverage and be the local expert on the COVID-19 virus and treating dental emergencies, but you're also doing press releases to your local newspapers. And when they get to know you, I want you to pitch to them that you want to write an Ask the Dentist column in the local newspaper. Because what happened with my radio show is, for a long time, it was the #1 source of new patient income to our practice. But then satellite radio came along. When satellite radio came along, anyone that bought a new car, they had satellite radio for a trial period. It still happens today. So once satellite radio came around, very few people I found were listening to local talk radio, which is AM. Even if it's FM, it's still local talk radio. So had to reinvent ourselves in our marketing campaign. We quit the radio show after 15 years, and that's when we started the Ask the Dentist column in our local newspaper. So as the local area gets to meet you, they will invite you to maybe do some of these things, but give them the idea. Newspapers are very hungry. They're hurting financially because of lack of advertising. They would love to have local experts. So with the videos, you can also do Facebook Live videos. In addition to being called in for interviews with the local news stations, I recommend doing a lot of YouTube videos. I think I have close to 150 YouTube videos, which are 1-minute vignettes where you talk about a piece of equipment in your office. It's very easy to come up with material for Facebook Live videos. What I did is I just took a walk down the hallways of my office. I looked at different pieces of equipment like iTero, digital impressions, the diode laser that we use instead of retraction cords, the electronic anesthesia devices, the comfort control syringe, the wand instead of the old shot and hypodermic needle. And you want to look at pieces of equipment in your office and think of what is the benefit. A benefit is how it's positive for the patient. Don't talk about the features. Features are like the dials on a TV or an iPhone apps. Features are for you, the doctor. Talk about the benefits. So for 1 minute, grab one of your pieces of equipment and have someone videotape you and talk about what is it and what is the benefit for the patient. Do a YouTube video of those. The more YouTube videos you have of you saying something about dentistry, the higher your SEO, your search engine optimization will be for sure. Because what Google recognizes is content. And in the world of SEO, content is king. So the more YouTube videos, the better. Facebook Live is something new to me. There's some good marketing people. When you go to these dental conventions and you're walking the exhibit booths, speak to these people that are doing digital marketing. And they have some great ideas. Facebook Live are things that are put on your office Facebook page, and they could also be sent as links to your patients. So I'm going to continue on with another thing that I think you're going to love on what to do during this shutdown period. And honestly, all these things you should be doing every month in your practice and continue doing them because they're certainly going to benefit outside of this crisis. So what I've been using for years is it's an app called skybroadcast.com, SKY, and the word broadcast.com, skybroadcast.com. It's an app. I mainly, even though it's on my phone, I mainly use it on a laptop or on a PC or a desktop computer so I could see the whole screen better. Simply what this does is it automatically dials your patient's voicemail. So it leaves them a voicemail. It goes direct to voicemail, and it will leave them a message that you pre-record. Okay. So every day after exercising in the morning during this crisis, nothing else for me to do other than eat, exercise, and watch my hair turn gray. And by the way, I really don't like this gray hair thing, because if you have black hair, gray hair looks great, looks distinguished. If you have brown hair like me mixed in with gray, it looks like oatmeal. It's disgusting. So if you have nothing to do after you exercise in the morning, you go home, you pop up skybroadcast.com, open up an account, and you're going to first create a message. I have several different messages because I use this to make post-op phone calls to all my patients. So any patient that has a procedure in the office that involves an injection gets a direct to voicemail message from me. And the message will say, hey, it's Dr. Josephs. Just wanted to see if you're still alive tonight. If everything's fine, and don't bother calling me back. If you got something urgent, feel free to call me back, and I leave my office phone number. That's pretty much, I got a bunch of standard messages like that that we do for post-op calls for patients. I created a special COVID-19 message. So every day after exercising, I sit down, I enter a bunch of patients' phone numbers from our master patient list. Let's say I sit down for 30 minutes, I could probably enter probably like 75 patients' phone numbers. You then select what day and what time you want the message to be sent to your patients' voicemail boxes on their phones. Click the mouse and walk away. And at that specific day and time that you designated through skybroadcast.com, they're going to get your voice leaving them a message. 99% of the time, the patient thinks you left a live voicemail message and they just, for whatever reason, maybe their ringer was off, but they missed your call, but they see on their phone that you left a message and that you called, recent calls, and left a message. Once in a while, somebody will say, I don't understand. I keep missing you. You keep leaving a message, but not an issue at all. And actually, I did explain to one patient what the technology is, and it really, it guarantees that the patient gets your message. And I always leave my phone number and say, if you really need to call me, please feel free to call me. But it takes away a lot of headache. Imagine calling 30 patients every day just to stay in touch with them during the shutdown. That's, you know, if the patient picks up, you're going to have 30, God knows how long, phone conversations. So this is a real easy way to get your voice message. And so here's my COVID-19 message. So I say, it's Dr. Josephs calling. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you and your family are doing well in this really difficult time. And I just want you to know we are available for dental emergencies, so please feel free to contact us. And then, this is very key, in your Sky broadcast message that you're going to leave to all your patients by entering their phone number, clicking the mouse, and walking away. You have to say at the end of your message, starting, in this case in Florida, starting on May 8th, the governor's executive order that has limited our practice to emergency dental care only will expire. Now, obviously, you put the date that your order is going to expire. It varies from state to state, country to country. Because we are going to be back in action full-time, in my case, let's say May 8th, it is imperative that you call our office today and, one, schedule a missed hygiene appointment that you might have missed, and now it's a month and a half late, because I'll tell you right now, our dental hygienist is booked to the end of June. You also must call the office right now. If you are in the middle of treatment, you have to call now and confirm that you have an appointment with us to continue your treatment. And third, most importantly, if you've come down with a new problem during the past 6 weeks, please call our office right now so that we can go ahead and get back in touch with you and book an appointment. So we're up
Mitchell,
to 150. So go ahead.
Mitchell, but interrupt for 1 second. A lot of people were commenting when you mentioned Sky Broadcast and they couldn't find it, but I think you meant to say Sly Broadcast. Is that correct? I want to make sure we got the same app. Sly Broadcast.
You got to look at both. I believe they're two different things. Look up Sly. Okay, I know what it is now. Sly Dial. SLYDIAL. Sly Dial is the app for your phone. Sky Broadcast, I'm pretty sure, is the computer website. That's
Mitchell, I think it is Sly. I just went on the web and did a little tapping, and it looks like it is slybroadcast.com.
Okay, I apologize. Sly Broadcast.
It is kind of sly.
Yeah, you know, for me, I never put that in anymore because for years I have my computer folders open, my tabs on my websites on my computer is always open to slybroadcast.com. So it's been years since I actually typed it in. But I apologize, slybroadcast.com. So I'd be happy to take questions. So feel free to fire away.
Yeah, we got a few on here. Hold on. Oh, so MJ, one person asked if it's okay to modify your press releases for their own usage.
100%. I recommend you take my name off of it. Let's start with that. And white out my name and just put your own name in there, and it's perfectly okay. I certainly am not going to copyright the instructions on how to scrape out the cement from a crown that's come off with a paper clip, try it in, put Fix-It-Ent in, and seat it on a tooth. That's everybody's. So it's perfectly okay. The answer is yes.
Here's a question. Before the question, though, one more thing about Sly Broadcast versus Sky. It sounds like both of them might be an app. Somebody just said it really is Sky Broadcast. Here's what I recommend you doing.
Oh, okay.
Mitchell, you can.
I don't think it's Sky, Dave. So I went to Sky. That's like a British.
Okay.
It looks like it's a British cable TV site or.
Okay, so it is Sly Broadcast, but there also is one called Sly Dial, and I know Mitchell, you used at least a couple of them.
Yeah.
So I would recommend going to the App Store and looking at the reviews and experimenting, right? Because I think you started with Sly Dial, and now you're using Sly Broadcast. But so there are several of these out there. So, but somebody did ask you a question, Mitchell. Could you please talk about tell everybody what the camera is that you use at home for teledentistry that you have the patients use at home? And not only that, somebody asked kind of a question on that. Are you concerned about HIPAA issues when people are broadcasting pictures of their mouth?
Yeah. Okay. Second part first. HIPAA issues. Google teledentistry consent forms. They exist. There's HIPAA forms, and actually the current COVID-19 teledentistry consent form, the ADA has it. And there was an email that was sent out from the ADA with a link to a whole bunch of teledentistry forms. And if I'm not mistaken, in the teledentistry consent form, it says, due to this current time period of the COVID-19 virus, there are some waivers of the HIPAA laws temporarily. If I'm not mistaken when I read it. So I looked at an assortment of teledentistry and telemedicine consent forms. The one I liked the best, I attached to my email. So whoever sends you an email with a picture of their third molar, occlusal, distal, if they're that creative, immediately respond to the email and attach the teledentistry consent form. And have them, actually, they don't even have to do DocuSign. They're actually allowed in the email to say, I have read and I agree to the consent form, and they just have to type their name, they send it back to you, and you could give them your opinion on what the picture is.
There was another part to your question.
The camera that you
oh, yeah, the camera. Okay. All right, I have an iPhone -2. I have like an iPhone that's made out of stone. It has like a wire attached to it. And here's actually my iPhone. This is my iPhone -2. It's connected to a smart screen. So even with my iPhone -2, the camera works pretty darn good, especially with the flash, taking images of teeth. Now, most people, the reason why I have such an archaic iPhone really is because it's really small and it fits. If you're a guy and you wear blue jeans, a little on the tailored side, it has to be a small phone that fits in my front pocket of blue jeans. That's why I use an old, small iPhone. But any iPhone, and you could tell people if they have a macro setting, they could try to use that. But I find most people could just take a regular picture with an iPhone. But as I showed before, if you tuned in late, hardware stores and auto parts store have what's called a borescope, B-O-R-E-S-C-O-P-E, a borescope, or it's called an endoscope, E-N-D-O scope, endoscope. These things can be bought on Amazon, and they're used to look inside your ear canal and can be used inside the mouth. Basically, they're portable handheld intraoral cameras.
Cool. Hey, I just had to read this question. I hope I don't regret it, but
I hope it's a legitimate question.
Well, I'll answer it, but then MJ, maybe you can give your take on it too. It said, "Hey, I thought this was supposed to be about what we should be doing to prepare our offices for reopening." And I just wanted to read it, not sarcastically, but because I think maybe if one person asked it, I'm thinking maybe 100 people are thinking it. And there are different webinars on what you're supposed to be doing to prepare your offices from reopening. And some might be talking about how to get your PPE in line, and some might be talking about this, and some might be talking about that. But what Dr. Josephs is talking about, in my opinion, is that we've taken months off. There are people who are sitting through moderate dental emergencies just ready, when given the order, to go to the dental office. And many of them don't have dentists. And what Dr. Josephs is doing is making sure those people call your office by staying in touch with this community, by being on TV, by being in the newspaper, by letting the community know that, this is the person who's helping us with our emergencies at home. Seems like a nice guy. I'm going to go see him. And Mitchell, when you said that 80,000 people saw your segment, I'm thinking, like, if somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, I can get you on TV being the expert dentist of your community, you're going to be seen by 80,000 people," and your next thought's going to be, "There's no way I could afford that. I couldn't afford that kind of coverage." You've shown people how to do it at no charge. So these are absolutely the things that you should be doing right now to prepare your office for reopening.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I have had many emails with that exact subject matter, opening up your office when it's time to open up. So that's been covered. Probably every day I get an email where they're talking about face shields and masks and stuff. But obviously my topic, which I think is important, is how are you going to get, not how, but here's a way to increase your reach in your local community, which winds up in you getting great fee-for-service patients. I mean, when I was on the lecture circuit, that was my #1 priority. So just one more thing, you mentioned, you just stirred something in my brain. You see on this iPhone, there's an app that has a big red N. I think it's called Apple News. It's an app that's a big red N on a white background on the iPhone. You don't buy it, it comes with the iPhone. Well, apparently my TV news segments wound up on that Apple News app because I came into the office the day after one of those news segments, and my front desk person, Annette, said, "Look who's on my iPhone." And sure enough, she turned her phone on, and automatically she gets the news on that app, the big red N on a white background. The first story was an image of me on TV, and you press the image and it goes right into my news segment.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I was totally blown away. Total surprise. Yeah.
People pay public relations companies tens of thousands of dollars for that kind of coverage.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mitchell,
So
here's
yeah.
Here's like a two-part. Oh, real quickly before I share this with you, Rich, do you have the corrected phone number for Southern Dental?
I do. So
I think a lot of people are asking about that.
I was going to say, if you saw this at the beginning, or if you didn't see, if you weren't there at the very beginning, we recommended an incredible person/company to go to for your dental scrap refining. He pays the most out of anyone we've ever seen. It's a good way to pick up a little extra cash flow right now. Let's face it. So one way to learn more is to go to madow.com/gold. madow.com/GOLD. But I don't know how, but we put the wrong phone number up there. So the right phone number, and maybe we can tap this into the chat box as well, for Southern Dental Refining is 813-363-3309. Again, see, Dave told you to have your pen and paper ready. So I'll read that one more time. It is 813-363-3309.
By the way, that is the biggest no-brainer possible because you've got scrap lying around. We guarantee it. And how would you like just to get a check for like $100, $1,000, or whatever it might be? It's a total no-brainer. If you didn't see what Rich was talking about, we suggest you go back. And by the way, somebody did ask the question, is there going to be a replay available? You probably came in a little bit later. We said yes. It's going to be either on our Facebook page, which is the Madow Center for Dental Practice Success. As soon as we're finished, Sylvia's going to rasterize this whole thing, and hopefully, oh, there we go. Oh, she's got the right number. Beautiful, Sylvia.
Unbelievable.
She's the greatest. Unbelievable, Sylvia. You came through there. But yes, this will be available on our Facebook page, Madow Center for Dental Practice Success, or our YouTube channel, which is the Dental Practice Fixers, so you can watch him there. But I did have a question for Mitchell, and it's one that actually, honestly, I don't think anybody typed it in exactly, but I thought about it, and if I thought about it, if Rich thought about it, probably a lot of people were thinking this. Mitchell, it's a two-parter kind of. Number one, it's kind of late in the game for coronavirus. We're not sure how much longer this whole thing is, but we're kind of like at the top of that curve, maybe starting to go down. So number one, is it too late to start thinking about a press release during this crisis? And number two, the second part of this is, hey, look, I'm just like a regular dentist. I'm a regular guy, regular gal. This guy looks like he's like a star on the news, but I'm just kind of a regular person. Is it really truly realistic that I can get on the news the same way this Dr. Mitchell Joseph did?
Yeah, listen, if the Tiger King, Joe Exotic, can be on the news and be on TV, I would define him as a regular person. I mean, a true Joe Dirt, regular kind of guy. If he can get on the news and he can get on TV and now has a Netflix series, I think anybody, you don't have to be any kind of star of any type. The public, the way it works is if you're out there, you are perceived as a local expert. Doesn't matter what you sound like. It doesn't matter what you look like. So it's really for everyone. And if I had to make a prediction, I'm going to say that dentistry is going to have an incredibly strong comeback. Number one, you're going to have a lot of patients that have delayed their dental work during this time. And there's going to be a lot of things that need to be treated for all physicians and surgeons, people delaying work that they needed. And number two, I mean, I honestly think there's going to be a shortage of dentists in the near future. There are some dental practices that just by attrition, I already heard about some Manhattan dental practices that are, I know a doctor that had a prosthodontist that had 4 offices in New York City. He's closing 2 of them for good. So I think the number of dental practices are going to go down by attrition. Maybe some offices that haven't been run properly. But I also think that less people are going to be going to dental school. Dental school is extremely expensive. And I think over the next 10 years, I think dentistry is going to be a really hot career. I think there's going to be a shortage of dentists and a tremendous amount of patients and dentistry to be done. So it seems awful right now. My income has stopped since March 20th, 0 income since March 20th. I'm not happy about it. I did apply for the PPP loan.
and keeping fingers crossed to at least get reimbursed for the payroll of my staff I've been paying. But I think that things are really going to start looking up. That's my prediction. I think we're in a good position, in a good profession. I think the most important thing to do now, in answer to your question, Dave, it's not too late. I think you need to get the word out to your local media that you want to speak on the topic of what dental offices are doing safety-wise to prevent transmission of diseases, which is what we've always been doing. Since the AIDS epidemic, we've been doing OSHA's universal precautions. Nothing has changed in dentistry, and we need to communicate that to the media and to our patients so people are not scared on going to the dentist.
Hey, I just want to mention one time too, because Mitchell, you did talk briefly about Facebook Live, digital marketing, and we know it's really, really important, and a lot of people want to know about that. We actually have a great resource at the Madow Center. Whitney is our Madow Center expert on all things like that, digital, Facebook Live, Google, SEO, all those great things, and she'd love to speak to anyone that has any questions about it. So again, just to make it easier, if you send an email to info@madow.com with questions of that nature, we'll make sure Whitney gets it. Or you can give her a call at 410-526-4780. If you can't remember that, you can certainly remember our website, madow.com. Just go there. All of our contact information is on there. Speak with Whitney. She's super friendly, very knowledgeable, and she can talk to you about your digital marketing plan so that when this is all back to somewhat normal, we'll have some patients banging on our doors, which is what we all want.
I think we're going to wrap it, because I think, Mitchell, you gave some great information. I'm really hoping, and there's some really good questions asked. I'm really hoping that all of you that were here can at least take a few of the things that Dr. Joseph talked about and do them. Again, anybody can do them. It does not really matter what type of practice you have, but the public wants answers to a lot of the questions they're asking themselves and their neighbors and their family. They want answers coming from a dentist or a dental office. You should be the one that's giving them these answers. And it's a great opportunity. So Mitchell, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day and participate. Well, you said you're not busy. You're just you're not getting a paycheck anymore, so you're not that busy.
Watching his son's tiling the club room right now as we speak.
Yeah,
I gotta say, we're getting fantastic comments in the chat box. So.
Oh, great, because I can't see.
Don't go to the dentist that can't see.
You took your glasses off. Why'd the glasses come off?
Well, it's tough because they're progressive, so it's tough to see the top of the screen and the bottom of the screen at the same time without going like this.
Oh, you're in shul or something going like that. But,
very progressive.
By the way, are those new glasses?
Yeah, every day is a different pair. This is the Thursday pair.
Can you say Cubs win while you're wearing those glasses?
Different color every day. Different color every day.
Great stuff. Thanks so much, Mitchell. Always a pleasure hanging with you.
Pleasure.
And thanks for everybody. Thanks for everybody that took time out of your day. We had like a tremendous number of docs and team members. We really appreciate you. It's a really tough time. We're all in this together, as they say on all the other webinars, but we really are. And if you want to talk about anything, if you just want to get something off your chest, send an email to info@madow.com, and we'll make sure, at the very least, we'll make sure we get to speak to one of our incredible, compassionate coaches. They can talk you through some stuff if you're having a tough time. We want to be here to help you, and we are here to help you. You're not alone.
Thanks, everyone.
See you all later.
Thank you.